Corrupt judge fines JD Vance for sign of the cross in court. JD's response shocks everyone. The courtroom was tense, the air thick with disbelief, as Senator JD Vance stood before a judge who seemed determined to make an example out of him, not for any crime, not for contempt, but for a simple, silent act of faith. As Vance made the sign of the cross before taking his seat, the judge's gavel came down hard. "You are fined for violating courtroom decorum," the judge declared, his tone dripping with disdain. The crowd erupted in murmurs. Had America really reached a point where a man could be punished for a centuries-old gesture of reverence? But Vance didn't flinch. Instead, he met the judge's glare with a calm defiance that sent shockwaves through the room. "Your Honor," he began, his voice steady but carrying the weight of unshakable conviction. "If this court believes that the First Amendment stops at the courtroom door, then we've lost sight of the very freedoms this country was built upon." The silence was deafening. Even the stenographer paused, fingers hovering over the keys. Then came the mic drop moment. The response no one saw coming. "I'll pay the fine," Vance continued, "but I won't apologize for my faith, and I'll make sure every American knows that a judge who punishes prayer is a judge who no longer understands justice." The room exploded. Supporters leapt to their feet, while the judge's face turned an alarming shade of crimson. Legal analysts later called it a defining moment, a clash between religious liberty and an increasingly authoritarian system that seeks to silence dissent, even silent, personal acts of devotion. The backlash was immediate. Social media lit up with outrage, with even secular free speech advocates condemning the judge's overreach. Since when did the sign of the cross become a disruption? One commentator asked. Others pointed out the glaring double standard. Would a judge have fined someone for wearing a yarmulke or a hijab? The incident became a rallying cry, with Vance's refusal to back down symbolizing something far bigger than a courtroom fine. It was about whether America still had room for people of faith in public life, or if the system would now punish them for the crime of not hiding their beliefs. By the time Vance left the courthouse, a crowd had gathered outside, some holding crosses, others waving flags. Cameras flashed as he paused at the steps, turning back to the building with one last remark. "This isn't over." And with those 3 words, he ignited a fire, one that would force the nation to ask itself, how much longer will we tolerate those in power criminalizing faith?